Okay, so in the previous class we were discussing about uh, factor loading. Okay, sorry, factor analysis. So we will continue the discussion. Uh, we have seen that there were four steps
Ah,
of factor analysis. Okay, that for example, first step, the correlation matrix for all the variables. The second step is factor extraction. The third step is factor rotation, and fourth step is making final decision, or it's just the conclusion part. Okay, so previously we also discussed about the comparison of principal component analysis, exploratory factor analysis, and confirmatory factor analysis. Okay, and also the variables. So today we have completed the first part, the correlation matrix, and also the second part, second step, factor extraction. These things we have already completed. So let's start from the third step, factor rotation. So if we want to begin from the third step, then we should look at the problems of the factor extraction part. After extracting the factors, okay, you will be getting something like this. I have already told earlier that this is called the this is the you know the uh, this is the matrix. Okay, this is called the matrix. Okay, here I had given some definitions. You can go through the definitions. Okay, factor matrix. Okay, so if you have a look at this factor matrix, okay, you will be having some problems. Okay, you can see that in this particular factor matrix, I'm showing you one factor matrix. The idea will be clear. uh, just have a look at this one, this slide. This is the results of Lawley and Maxwell. Okay, previously we gave the example of Lawley and Maxwell. Can you recall it? We can, we, this was the example of Lawley and Maxwell. Okay, we have taken, there were 6 variables. Okay, Gaelic language, English, history, arithmetic, algebra, geometry, and 220 students score we have collected. Okay, in these particular subjects. And after doing the factor extraction, we have got something like this. Okay, so you can understand here actually there are some problems. What are the problems? The problems are that which particular variable you will assign to which particular factor. Okay, this is actually the problem. You can see that the Gaelic, in case of Gaelic, the factor 1, this loading is 0.553 and factor 2 0.429. In case of history, the factor 1, the loading score is, it is 0.392, or factor, in case of factor 2 it is 0.45. So in this way there is a lot of the loading scores which are very close in nature. Okay, so you will have a problem like where I will assign my variable. That is a problem, because as per the norms, okay, uh, there are some controversy actually. Normally researchers use 0.5 as threshold. That means this is the loading score. However, others argue that the important is that the item loading in main factor are higher than loadings in other. Okay. Other also indicate that there should be at least a difference of 0.2 between the loadings. Okay. So what we do, we rotate our factors to get uh, the the scores, so that the scores can be obtained in such a way that they are very highly loaded onto a particular factor and very weakly uh, loaded onto another factor in most of the cases. Okay. Maybe it may happen that in some cases you will find very little difference, but in most of the cases the difference will be very prominent in nature. Okay. So that's why factor rotation is actually done. Okay. So you can see here also, there you can see that suppose if you look at this kind of interface you will get when you will be dealing with SPSS. Okay. So you will have certain variables, and suppose some components here they have used the extraction method as principal component analysis. So, but you can also use principal axis factoring, and 4 components have been extracted, actually factors. Okay, you can say. So here you can see that these variables are very highly loaded onto the first component. These variables are very loaded onto the 4th component. But in other cases, there are some problems, like suppose it's clear to me what my rights are. This variable is loaded onto this 0.54 and also loaded onto the 3rd component 0.343. Okay. So these kinds of things may be solved using the rotation matrix. Okay. Or we can say that if we rotate if we rotate these components, we may be able to get a better structure in terms of the loading patterns onto the factors. Okay. So rotation of factors, it can be, there are 2 different types of rotation. Broadly speaking, there are 2 different types of rotation. One is orthogonal rotation and another is oblique rotation. Now under orthogonal rotation, there are 3 methods called Varimax, Quadramax, Equimax method. And under the case of oblique rotation, there is direct oblimin method and Promax method. So usually I'm not going into the details of all these rotation method, but usually we use the orthogonal method, and under the orthogonal method the sub method is a Varimax method. This method we prefer. Usually we use this method in SPSS for rotation of the factors. Okay. So I will discuss the what is orthogonal rotation and what is oblique rotation, that I will discuss. But the other methods also you can use there, even if you do not know that the mathematical concepts behind these rotation techniques, there is no problem. You can obviously use these methods. Just you need to find out that which is giving you better, which particular method is giving you the better or the best matrix. Okay, best loading the factor matrix. Okay. So that you need to check out. But usually the Varimax method, it provides the best result. So you can use the orthogonal Varimax method under the orthogonal for the rotation purpose. Okay. So it basically, the rotation of factors, it maximizes the high item loadings and minimizes the low item loadings. This is usually, this is your intention, so that you can get a better structure. Okay. So orthogonal versus oblique. Orthogonal rotation requires factors to remain uncorrelated. Others are oblique rotation. A simple rule is that if there is any ability to print out a matrix of factor correlations, then the rotation is oblique. Okay. So that means if the factors that you have extracted, if they have some correlation, good correlation, then you will be using the oblique rotation method. And if there is no correlation, then you will be using the orthogonal method. Okay. And it is very natural that the factors that you will be extracting, if you use the principal axis factoring method, so there will be no correlation. There is a very less chance of correlation between those factors. Okay. Because though the factors that you have extracted, they based on the common variance of the variables, you have extracted all those factors, so there will be less chance that the factors will be again correlated with them. So you can use, then in case of that, you can use orthogonal, otherwise you can use oblique. Okay. Oblique rotations often achieve greater simple structure, though at a cost. Now I will show you, this is the orthogonal factor rotation. You can see that initially this was your unrotated factor 1, and this was your unrotated factor 2. Okay. So this was unrotated factor 1 and this was unrotated factor 2. So now what is happening, that we are rotating the factor. Okay. Suppose this factor, it is rotated and it is also rotated. So, and they are rotated in such a way so that both have crossed the same angle. Okay. So that's why the angle remains 90 degree as it is, as it was earlier. Okay. The angle remains at 90 degree. This is the rotated factor 1, this is rotated factor 2. So that's why this is known as orthogonal factor rotation, and this you use when there is no correlation between the extracted factors. Then again, in oblique rotation, it was the unrotated factor 1, it was the unrotated factor 2, and you have done the rotation, and after rotation you have got suppose this is called oblique rotation you have used, and this is, you have got factor 1 and this is, you have got factor 2. Okay. And I'm not going into mathematical details, but mathematically it can be proved that you may think that in case of orthogonal nature, in case of orthogonality, it is also 90 degree, it is also 90 degree. So the originality is not lost. But in case of oblique rotation also, it is proved that you can use oblique rotation, oblique factor rotation, because mathematically you can prove that the originality is not lost even if you rotate. Okay, if they are not 90 degree, if you use the oblique factor rotation method, then also the originality of the data, that is also not lost. Okay. So the most popular rotation method is Varimax rotations. Varimax use orthogonal rotations yielding uncorrelated factors or components. Varimax attempts to minimize the number of variables that have high loadings on a factor. This enhances the interpretability of the factors. Okay. Rotations are not used in confirmatory factor analysis models. Rotations are a part of exploratory factor analysis. You use varimax in exploratory factor analysis when you assume that in population factors you extract are not correlated. You use promax or other oblique rotations when you assume that they are correlated. Okay, so you can understand that the rotation, the factor rotation, this is a part of exploratory factor model, but this is not done in case of confirmatory factor model. Why? Because this is quite natural. Because in case of exploratory factor analysis, your intention is to extract the factors. You do not know earlier about those factors. So that's why the factor rotation is done in case of the exploratory factor analysis. Okay, because you have no idea that how the variables can be grouped. So in case of exploratory factor analysis, the grouping or the clubbing of the variables, that is very important part, because your ultimate intention is to do that how they can be clubbed together. So how the variables, how the correlated variable, how different correlated variables from a data set that can be clubbed together to reduce the data or to form some factors which you can give some proper name later on, and you can reduce the data. That is the objective of the exploratory factor analysis. But in case of confirmatory factor analysis, the same thing will not happen. In case of confirmatory factor analysis, what you will do, in case of confirmatory factor analysis, you have done the literature review. Okay, so you already know the factors, and you already know the underlying the variables. That means the variables under a specific or particular factor. Okay, so you already know that which particular variables should be highly loaded onto which particular factor. Okay, so in case of the confirmatory factor analysis model, you may not use the factor rotation. Okay, but if suppose if you see something like if there is any kind of discrimination, that means whatever the model that you have suggested, that means which particular variables will be under which particular factors, or the constructs. Okay, if you find that there is any type of discrimination or that is not matching, okay, whatever you have got from the factor extraction, from the factor analysis, that is not matching with the assumed model which is based on the theory. So in that case you can go for definitely factor rotation, because ultimately you will have to show in paper that whatever you have assumed, okay, or the underlying variables under a construct or under a particular factor, your that assumption is actually correct, and without high factor loading you cannot prove it. Okay, obviously you need to use some discriminant validity kind of thing that I have shown you already showed you earlier. So those things, those kinds of things can be maybe used, or even you can use, though it has been said here that the factor rotation is not used in case of confirmatory factor analysis model, but if you find any kind of dissimilarity, then you can go for factor rotation, okay, to validate your model. Okay, so you can see here that after the rotation, what you have got, you can see that Gaelic, English, and history, they are very much highly loaded onto factor 2, and the arithmetic, algebra, and geometry, they are very highly loaded onto factor 1. Okay, so you can see that these they are actually basically forming two particular clusters. Okay, so Gaelic, English, history, they are all arts related subject. Okay, so you can conclude that factor 2 must be something which is related to arts. And you can also see that um, arithmetic and algebra and geometry, they are very highly loaded onto factor 1. So you can also uh, conclude that they are basically loaded onto they are loaded onto factor 1, and they are factor 1 must be something which is related to analytics or mathematical skill. Okay, now if you have a look at this matrix meticulously after the rotation, you can see that there is some variable, like for example the English. Okay, if you look at English, earlier it was on factor 1 it was 0.568, and factor 2 the loading score was 0.288, but now after rotation it has become 0.433 and 0.467. So difference has been the difference is actually uh, it is reduced. But in case of factor, when you want to do the factor rotation, your objective is to maximize the highly loaded factors and minimize the weakly loaded factors to get a better pattern. That means you want so that this difference is maximized. Okay, you want the difference maximized so that you can easily identify one particular variable will be loaded onto which particular factor. But here you can see that the difference is actually reduced rather than uh, maximizing, or rather than increasing. Okay, so how can we accept this? We can accept this because this has happened only in case of one variable. Okay, but in case of other variables, if we see, then the difference has been significantly reduced. For example, if you see that history 0.39 to 0.5, you can see 0.211 and 0.558. Okay, so in other cases it has been the difference has been increased. Okay, so you need to consider it the overall thing. Okay, you may get after the rotation the matrix that you will be getting, it may so happen that the difference in some variables, in cases of some variables, that has been reduced. But that doesn't mean that the rotation matrix, it is inferior as compared to the unrotated matrix. Okay, because you need to consider it overall base. Okay, so overall basis you need to consider it. So now the final steps, making final decision. So the final decision about the number of factors to choose is the number of factors for the rotated solution that is most interpretable. To identify factors, group variables that have large loading for the same factor. Plots of loading provide a visual for variable clusters. Interpret factors according to the meaning of the variables. And this decision should be guided by a priori conceptual beliefs about the number of factors from past research or theory. Eigenvalues computed in step 2, the relatively interpretability of rotated solutions computed in step 3. Okay, so basically we have completed the part of exploratory factor analysis. Okay, but usually the exploratory factor analysis, as I have said earlier, that exploratory factor analysis is not very much preferred. Okay, even if you do not, I'm not going now the structural equation model, even without structural equation model, with only confirmatory factor analysis you can make a paper. Okay, this is a very common practice that first you do the literature review. From the literature review, you identify what could be the constructs and its underlying variables. And I am again and again telling you, whenever you will do some literature review, you will not get something ready made. Okay, if you get something ready made, then there is no point of your research work. Okay, you will be getting from different papers, you will be getting different types of variables. Okay, and those, after, you need to jot down all those variables, and after jotting down, then you need to think that which particular variables I can accumulate or I can club to form a particular factor or construct, and you need to give it a proper name of the factor, or for the construct you need to give it a proper name. Okay, and you need to mention in your literature, in your review paper or whatever be your paper, you need to mention that underlying these are the underlying variables of this particular factor. Okay, and after that you need to collect the data from the respondents. Okay, and you need to validate that the framework that you have proposed. Okay, that means the framework means what are the underlying variables of a particular factor or construct that is actually correct. Okay, so these kind of the confirmatory factor analysis, you need to do that. Okay, by following these steps. Usually exploratory factor analysis model, that is actually not desired. Okay, because in case of exploratory factor analysis model, it is not verified that whether the factors that you have extracted, whether the underlying variables are really exist or not. Okay, so because it is entirely based on the statistical calculation. Okay, so you never know it. Okay, so that's why mm, um, uh, you need to perform the confirmatory factor analysis model, and you will see that many papers you will find who have implemented confirmatory factor analysis model, and it will be based on your literature review, but it will not be treated as a review paper, it will be treated as an original research article. Okay, so this is a very simple way to make a paper and get it published. But you, again, what I have told you, that you need to keep in mind that the theoretical background must be very strong in this kind of research work. Okay, because you must understand that whenever you are implementing this kind of research work, lot of researchers have already performed this, will be performing, have already performed this kind of research work, this is already a known tool. Okay, so in terms of mathematics or in terms of mathematical modeling, there is nothing new. Okay, so what is the novelty of the paper, that you need to highlight and that you need to address in that paper, and that novelty will be obviously based on your the variables or the theoretical background of the paper. So that's why that kind of theoretical background is very, very important or very, very crucial. Okay, so now I am showing you some interfaces. Okay, so this is the interface. You can see that this is the new SPSS. Okay, you can go to analyze straight, then you can go to dimension reduction, then their factor is there. If you want to perform factor analysis, you can go to factor. Okay, and here along all the columns, they are representing the variables, and 1 2 3 4 5 the rows, all these rows are representing your samples. Okay, you can take data based on a Likert scale, usually 1 to 5 point Likert scale we use, or also sometimes we can even use 1 to 3 point Likert scale and 1 to 9 point Likert scale. If you can remember, I told you that it depends upon the expertise of the respondents. For example, suppose if you want to get the feedback from the suppose for example the mining workers, okay, they only know good, bad and the moderate. They if you they usually they do not understand the difference between very good or good or very bad or bad. So if you use 5 point Likert scale for them, it will not be appropriate. Okay, so now clicking on this arrow, you can add these variables. Okay, so this thing you can do. Then you can see that if you click these variables, all the variables have been added. Now there are some descriptives, the rotation, there are different options you will get, and you can select one all the options. Suppose for example, click on descriptives. If you click on descriptives, you will be finding that there are some univariate descriptives. That means the standard deviation score, the variance, all those things, they will be the correlation matrix, the coefficient. Okay, it will be shown here. So from here you will get the descriptive statistics like the mean of your of all the variables, the standard deviation or the variance, that you will find here. You can also find the correlation matrix that you will be finding, which will include all the coefficients of different between different variables. And you will also, that is one important part that of step one, that we have seen that in step one the correlation matrix is required, because if you find that a lot of values are over 0.3 or beyond 0 greater than 0.3, then you can understand that there are high correlations between some of the variables. Okay, and the most important thing is that here KMO and Bartlett's test of sphericity. Okay, here the Bartlett's test of sphericity and KMO. Bartlett's test of sphericity will tell you that what is Bartlett's test of sphericity will give you the idea that whether there is sufficient correlation or not. And KMO, Kaiser-Meyer-Olkin, this test, KMO test, will actually give you the idea that whether you have enough sample size. Okay, so you will be doing that. Then after that you click on extraction method. Okay, so in under extraction method you will be getting different option. For example, the first option you will be getting principal component. Then again then I'm not it is very clear, unweighted least square method, centralized least square, maximum likelihood, principal axis factoring, alpha factoring, image factoring. So different these kinds of methods you will be finding. Okay, and you need to choose, my preference is that you choose principal axis factoring rather than principal component, because if you choose principal component, many reviewers they may give you the objection. Okay, because it is based on the total variance, not the shared variance or the common variance. Okay, then you will there will be another option that eigen values greater than 1, or alternatively instead of 1 you can also select 0.7. Okay, what is this is actually representing you that the eigen value, actually the factors will be extracted based on these eigen values. So if you put here 1, then only those factors will be extracted whose eigen value is greater than 1. Or if you put here 0.7, then only those those factors will be extracted whose the eigen value is greater than 0.7. Okay, so you need to do those things. Okay, so now then the next, then this is the factor analysis rotation. Then the third option, you click the third option, rotation. Okay, and you will choose Varimax method because this is most commonly used. Then you tick the rotated solution, you tick continue, click on OK. Okay, so you will be doing this part. Okay, So now you will be getting something, this kind of interface, this you will be having. So I have already explained that the communality type of thing you will be getting. Okay, this will be communality based table. So if there is some value, suppose you have 18 variables and you have got some value less than 0.3. Okay, so that variable you will straightforward, you will eliminate from your model. Okay, why you will eliminate it? Because that variable, okay, very less variance of that variable, even less than 30% of the variables can be explained by all the components or all the factors. So you will neglect or you will discard that particular variable. Okay, and then you will, here you will be seeing the eigenvalues, the extracted factors. Here you can see that 3 factors have been extracted whose value are greater than 1. Okay, those 3 factors will be extracted. Okay, so this thing you will be seeing. Okay, and after rotation you will be getting that you will you know, which particular variables will be loaded onto which particular factors. Okay, that you will be able to identify. Now it is less than 1 minute, so we can rejoin. Okay, so you will be able to identify that which particular factors will be loaded, which particular variables will be loaded onto which particular factors. And before that you can also have a scree plot. Okay, to scree plot is basically nothing based on this thing. Okay, that which particular factors you have extracted. Okay, based on that, and you will be seeing that the very less values you will be getting for the eigen values for the last components. Okay, for example, after